Right. Sure. Well, when you look at the results of the election from November, you can see that some of the places that moved strongest towards the Republican Party were the outer boroughs of New York City and the suburbs of New York City. So this is kind of ground zero for figuring out why some Democrats decided not to vote or decided to vote for Donald Trump. And I think one of the theories that's been in play here is that Democrats simply haven't done a good job running the places they control, which is to say, big blue cities in blue states like New York, like Boston, like Chicago, like Los Angeles, San Francisco, right? And so in that sense, this is a pretty bold urban policy gambit to show the Democrats have big ideas about how to improve these places. And one of the things that struck people in particular was the sense of disorder. And congestion pricing is nothing if not an attempt to bring order to the streets of New York City.
And we will see ultimately if it does bring order to New York City. Having said that, Henry, is congestion pricing, in your view, a big step toward creating the 21st century city?
I think one of the things that has been apparent in New York over the last 5 or 10 years is that the amount of traffic in the central business district is making it really hard for the city to fulfill its basic functions, to say nothing of its reputation as a global city. I mean, a building catches on fire, somebody needs an ambulance, somebody needs to make a delivery. Nobody knows how long those things are going to take because the traffic has become so bad. So I think when Lieber talks about the idea of a 21st century city, what he's saying is we need to have a kind of reliability about the ease of doing business and going about basic tasks here. And that's what congestion pricing is very much designed to do, in addition, of course, to raising money for the transit system.
All right. So going back to the kind of political aspect of this, or what this means for the future of the Democratic Party, Henry. So how does, if New York City officials and the city kind of get it right, in quotation marks, if you will, how does it really kind of help everyone along the high end of the economy, the lower end of the New York City economy?
Sure. Well, I think the goals of congestion pricing are pretty clear about that there's going to be cleaner air, there's going to be faster commutes, it's going to be easier to do business, and there's going to be more money for the mass transit system that, of course, moves the vast majority of people in and out of Manhattan every day. The number of people who drive into Manhattan is a small fraction of that. But I think the question about how to ensure its popularity among the constituents in New York City, and especially in the suburbs of New York City, that's the difficult question for the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, right? Because she's up for re-election next year. This has become a subject of intense political debate since she decided to, open up the box and tinker with the pricing, tinker with the implementation date. And so I think what she needs to do is she needs to show that this works. And the challenge is blue cities, right? We know this. They move slowly and they build things at high cost. And so when you implement a program like this, people expect to see results in exchange for the money that's being taken at those tolls. And the challenge is, how can we come up with something in New York to show results from congestion pricing really quickly? Because if the streets are, the traffic is down by 5 or 6%, that's not necessarily something that people are going to be able to point their finger at. I mean, how do you even register that kind of decline in traffic without having some kind of infrastructural improvement to show for it? And I think that's what the city needs to accomplish now.
Will she be given the chance to actually show the improvement or any improvement, given that Donald Trump has opposed it and has vowed to get rid of it? This was put into place before he takes office. Does he have the power to get rid of it?
I don't think he does have the power to get rid of it overnight. I mean, the federal role in this was certifying the environmental review, and that part is done. So I'm not sure that the federal government can go in and rescind the approval that they've already given for the program to go forward. Of course, there are several lawsuits pending. So there's a lot of uncertainty about this proposal. But I would just say, as far as its supporters are concerned, they have somewhat rested on the assumption that congestion pricing will be popular because it has been popular in other places that have implemented it after time, right? And that depends on showing visible improvement, on making real the infrastructure that people expect to use and receive in exchange for that money that's being taken. And they can do that, right? And they can do that overnight by creating bus lanes, pedestrian spaces, actually emergency vehicle lanes, right? Like make permanent the improvement that you see before the sticker shock fades and drivers return and realize that, in fact, it's a lot faster to drive in Manhattan.